No, I don't.
What about?
I really do have limited.
I just
time.
wanted to check your view on redistribution of wealth. Do you think that the government should redistribute its citizens' wealth?
Of course not.
Okay, so you are against all redistribution of wealth?
I am. I don't believe the government should redistribute wealth.
Okay, so you would be against Medicaid, for example.
Actually, I think Medicaid, there are other social programs that I would be against altogether. I'm against food stamps, for instance.
But that's a big part of Medicaid.
No, it's not.
Medicaid, yeah, they do it under the food stamps.
No,
Medicaid.
no.
That's my understanding.
No,
maybe I'm wrong about that too.
I'm sorry, you are. Medicaid, there are two different departments of government. Food stamps is Department of Agriculture. Medicaid is Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, do we have farm subsidies?
No, of course not.
So we shouldn't have the food stamps or the farm subsidies, but we should have Medicaid?
No, we should have a greatly scaled down Medicaid.
Okay, but that would be redistribution of wealth, right?
Should it be federal? Probably not.
But that is redistribution of wealth, right?
No, it is not.
It is not?
It is not.
They tax some citizens in order to provide goods and services for others?
I find this really annoying. Okay,
but you don't think that Medicaid they're taking money from some citizens in order to provide goods and services to others?
Wait, services are not necessarily redistribution of wealth. Providing services to people.
Services cost money? I
understand. But
so they take the money from one group, the taxpayers, that pay the income tax, and they pay for Medicaid.
I'm sorry.
You don't think that Medicaid is redistribution of wealth?
I really don't understand what you're trying to do.
Okay, I'm just trying to see what your view is on redistribution of wealth. We examined foreign policy, and now I was checking your view on redistribution of wealth.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if you were against all redistribution of wealth or just against some.
I am against redistribution of wealth. I am not against the government providing all services. Okay? I think the government is, and by the way, that goes back to the founders and the vision of the founders. Thomas Jefferson thought it was appropriate for the federal government to create a national university. We never did, fortunately. But what the American system that was devised by John Quincy Adams and later taken up by Henry Clay talked about internal improvements, building highways. I think building highways, maintaining national parks, providing for the general welfare. And the whole idea of Medicaid is based on this premise, which is that there is such a thing as a public health concern. If there are people in your community, in your neighborhood, who, and this is a concluding comment, who are somehow infected with a disease or have very bad health consequences, it does impact.
Oh, contagious diseases that pose a threat to the rest of the community. That's a totally different thing.
No, it isn't.
Right?
It isn't.
You think that Medicaid is dedicated to contagious diseases?
I don't think, among other things, I don't think it should be part of the federal responsibility. But the idea that in our society that we should allow people who cannot afford medical care to go without medical care is not a good idea, nor is it a good idea to simply put it all on county hospitals.
So they should force some citizens to pay for the services for others. That's redistribution of wealth.
No, it isn't.
It isn't.
No, because all citizens pay for it. In other words, and by the way, and I also believe
all the Medicaid recipients pay for these services.
No, they all would, in a properly functioning system, pay taxes. And that comes out of tax money.
In fact, they don't, right?
I know, and that's a problem.
Like 47% of the Americans don't pay taxes.
However, they pay into this crazy fraud called Social Security.
Right.
And they think they pay taxes. That's one of the problems that conservatives have, is that when you say to people that 47% don't pay taxes, no one believes it.
Well, should they tax American citizens in order to give the money to Pakistanis or to Egyptians?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you would be against that
I'm against all foreign aid, and I've said so repeatedly on my show.
And against the farm subsidies.
Absolutely.
But not against the Medicaid.
No.
What about the wealth transfer that's occurring from the young people to the old people in Medicare?
It's a complete scam. I think that's here you and I would find probably common ground.
I'm glad about that because we have had some differences.
Yes, no, and again.
And I'm glad we did find some common ground.
Okay,
and I appreciate the fact that you shared your views with us.
Yeah, it's good luck.
Thank you.
Sure.
It was interesting, don't you think?
No. I thought it was obnoxious, and I found it really annoying.
Why did you think it was obnoxious? What was obnoxious? Are these legitimate questions?
Yeah, but again, I had no idea what this context was.
Really,
life is too short. I'm busy.
Okay, well, thank you.